Back in 2024, I made a video on my favourite Sega arcade racing games. I have received quite a few recommendations in the comments for games to check out, so I want to dedicate a few episodes to playing some titles that I haven't before. Sega Touring Car Championship, I have to admit I've never heard of before. The only thing I knew about it was the soundtrack, which if you know, you know. If you don't, there are 3 licensed songs from Avex Tracks, a major Japanese publisher of domestic and foreign songs. There's Channel X's So High for the first racetrack, a Eurodance/Euro house track, with vocals that are very similar to Jackie Bodymede. There's Stargazer's Are You Wake Up for the second racetrack, which features profanity in the first few seconds.
Are you fucking awake out there?
And Anne Sinclair's Don't Drop Me for the third and final racetrack, a proper 90s Eurobeat track, written by Laurent Gelmetti, who at the time worked on many iconic Eurobeat tracks, and likewise for Gino Caria, who had his start with Italo disco songs, including writing a few of Ken Lashlow's tracks, before moving to Eurobeat and Eurodance. And Emanuela Gubinelli is on the vocals. She has a great voice and is quite similar to Clara Moroni's. Sorry, I know this context is inconsequential to the actual game, but I'm a big fan of 90s Eurobeat and Eurodance, and the genuinely decent songs are what drew me to this game in the first place. While trying out the game for the first time, emulated since I've never seen the arcade cabinet in person, I found the controls to be incredibly touchy and unpredictable. Sometimes when you move the joystick, you'll head straight into a barrier because the car does not want to turn, and other times you'll head straight into a barrier because the car has moved too much. I thought, well, this must just be the emulation, since it's an arcade title, and it expects a steering wheel. So I tried the Windows 95 version of the game. Same thing, plus a reduced frame rate and graphical fidelity. Kinda pathetic considering TT Mans had 3D FX support instead of direct 3D. So it looked and ran phenomenally. At least the PC version includes some photos they can use as wallpapers though. Yay? Anyway, fine, I'll try Saturn then. There's slowdowns, slightly worse graphics and render distance than Windows, and again, the controls are really damn twitchy, so I finally pulled out the steering wheel to give this game justice. And oh my god, what a difference it made. Don't get me wrong, AM Annex, the Sega subsidiary who created the game, made a big deal about the crazy acceleration and realism, and with a modern eye it really isn't all that realistic. Though the game was faster and had more precise controls compared to other racing titles of the time. But the speed of acceleration and braking is quite comical, with the cars reaching top speeds in mere seconds, and taking turns involves you practically drifting around corners. It's like the back of the car has been split in half and is connected to the front by a towing hook. But yeah, despite my footage not being exactly good, you can get a general idea of how the handling works. To take a slight corner, just letting your foot off the gas and turn will be enough to take it. For tighter corners, you have to let go of the gas and use the brakes. What you'll also notice is that it's practically impossible to get ahead of the opponents. I feel like even if you make no mistakes, the first 2 tracks are impossible to finish in first place. The game takes place on fictional roads in Country Circuit, Grunwald Circuit and Brickwall Town. The final track, Brickwall Town, it's easier to get ahead to the top 3, although it does have extremely tight turns and you cannot afford to lose any necessary speed to maintain your top position. In my first playthrough on the wheel, I actually managed to get into first, although due to an error in my recording setup, the quality is terrible, and I had my camera set up incorrectly, so sadly you don't get to see the joy on my face in completing the game after struggling to get past the second stage on a controller. I mean, final ranking 7th, but I'll take it. The cars are roughly based on the 1995 and 1996 DTM Touring Car series, and it's quite amusing to take an Opel Calibra down the track since the car has become a bit of a meme. By the way, there are also 2 bonus tracks, one that appears in the arcade and home releases, and one that is exclusive to the home ports. There is also a bonus prototype car that can be unlocked. Plus, the Lancia Delta and Toyota Celica from Sega Rally are also in the home ports and can be unlocked. What you do not need to unlock are the hidden liveries that can be changed by pressing the up or down arrow. The home ports also feature global net events. This game had the option of uploading your times to an online leaderboard, which is pretty ahead of the time. And during 3 periods of time, you were able to partake in special races. One has you drive a wintry track at night. One has you hit all the cones on the track. Although this seems to be time based and not based on how many cones you hit, from what I can tell. And a mod where you drive backwards on the track. Although with this one, it doesn't seem like you can win. You'll always be in last place. Still, these are pretty fun events, and I bet not many people knew about these, especially since they were hard-coded to only show up during those dates in those years. I don't think there's much I need to say about Initial D. You all know the manga and anime. Frankly, I'm sure that at least half of you watching right now know more about it than I do. What if you could play those iconic Togue sequences instead of just watching them? Eurobeat and all. Well, Sega has the answer. There have been numerous Initial D arcade games released over the last 20 plus years, and with so many titles released, Everyone has their own opinions on which game is the best. I settled on trying 4 and 5, which are quite similar admittedly, though 5 seems to have some quality of life features like 3D representation of the track during its selection. The main game mode is story mode based, where you and your rival compete to finish first. There's also a time trial mode, among some other options and features. Look, I am not the best person to review this game series, since I haven't seen the anime and can't read Japanese. So I will leave the details to someone who's more into this series, but what I can comment on happily is the gameplay. I appreciate the fact they get to choose the time of day and the conditions of the track, and there's a decent variety in both track layout and environment. The steering wheel gameplay is fantastic. The tracks are tight, so if you take them too fast or don't counter steer far enough, you'll be hitting the barrier. The graphics are fantastic, especially for the late 2000s. I like how Sega still opted to use photorealistic textures, because I personally like that look. Though with the high quality textures, pre-baked shadows and realistic post-processing, the 2D build bots that are scattered throughout stages make the game feel a bit uncanny when not in motion. Though when actually playing the game you don't notice those. But yeah, back to the gameplay, there's definitely a curve where the game is easy to pick up and play, but you know you'll have to spend a lot of time to master the controls. And those are the best kinds of arcade games, unlike Daytona Championship, where the handling model is tough and doesn't get easier, just more manageable. Arcade 4 has been ported over to the PS3 in Japan, and this may be preferable to play if you only have a controller, as the arcade titles are otherwise very easy to play on a controller due to, well, not being built for it. That being said, even with the PS3 version that had been made with a controller in mind, it's just not anywhere near as fun, since the challenge of twisting the wheel perfectly is gone. You just push the joystick left and then a bit right and then you've taken a corner. And of course you miss out on all that physical force feedback. It's challenging, sure, but without as much of the fun, if that makes sense. I know some of my friends want to play this title in the past, so let's see what they think.
Oh shit. It's a bit of time to get used to this. Oh, I can't even drive straight now at all.
Oh!
Blast.
It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially in the rain, but it's just hard anyway.
I think I got it towards the end though.
Fucking hell, lads. I'm spinning. And it's rainy. Fucking hell.
I know you've got, like, when you're doing the turns, you've got to counter steer a lot.
What do you think I'm trying to do? Fucking hell. Fucking hell. Fucking hell. Fucking hell. It just keeps spinning out.
I think that's the checkpoint, yeah.
I literally can't even do anything.
They're on the driving test.
Mate, you try it. You're not going to be good at this. I literally can't do anything. I've got no foot on anything and it just like actually drift. I can't actually do anything.
Which way are you going to go in there?
I'm supposed to be. Look, I'm not even doing anything. The game is just playing itself. You know what I mean?
My gamer fuel is piss!
Fuck off. Don't look at me like that with approval.
Oh, it's nice.
It's quite dynamic, is this one?
Yeah, a lot of times, eh?
Yeah, big time. Wait, there is no force feedback on this, by the way.
But the wheel's not loose, is it?
It's not loose, no.
Oh,
but-
okay, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I was expecting it to actually like do something, but it's not.
No, that's how I would imagine that's how it's supposed to be at the arcade.
Fair enough. I'm not doing very fucking well here. I'm about 200 meters behind.
It's always the second stage. It's really brutal.
It's these fucking Toga switchbacks that are the worst.
Le Mans 24 is a game that I don't think I've heard of before. It's pretty neat. There are 2 game modes. One is an endurance race, where you must drive for 24 hours. Well, in the game it's more like 10 minutes roughly. And the other game mode is your classic Daytona/Scud, race a few laps around some circuits type affair. There are 2 tracks in the game, one being the circuit and the other being a city track. We get a selection of GT1 and Group C cars, each having a different characteristic that can make the game trickier. During the endurance race, multiple pre-programmed weather conditions will happen, including rain, night driving, reduced visibility, etc. Since the race is pretty long for an arcade title, Sega knew how they can maximize profits. Unless you happen to already be good at the game, you'll likely need to put in more coins to continue, otherwise you'll game over. However, not only are there the usual checkpoints, but you can gain or lose time, depending on if you overtake an opponent or if they overtake you respectively. And it's mechanic, although the AI is all over the place. Sometimes they'll catapult in front of you, sometimes they'll crash in the dumbest places. The handling model is like a mix of Initial D and Touring Car Championship. If you let go of gas, you will be able to take most corners, although some tighter ones you'll need to use the brakes for. Due to the cars feeling like they actually want to grip to the tarmac, unlike Touring Car, it means that the turning is tighter, though it can be easy to underestimate how much you need to turn the wheel. But this becomes more obvious as you keep playing the game. If you manage to make it the full 12 hours, even if you don't finish first, you'll have a bonus race against the Porsche 917. It's a really tricky race, although I lucked out during recording, as the Porsche crashed last second.
That was so lucky.
You can unlock this car, as well as Sonic, with a cheat code. The only thing I could complain about is the repetitiveness of the race, but equally, it helps you learn the track the longer you play, so I don't mind. While it has that model-free charm of high polygon models with vibrant textures and an almost plastic look to the entire game, I wouldn't say the tracks will stick with me quite as much as Daytona 2 or Scud. I'm surprised I didn't mention this title in my first video, since I had played quite a lot of it back in the day. Daytona Championship USA, that I will refer from now on as Daytona 3 to make it shorter, was released in 2016 by Sega Shanghai. It uses the Sega Racing Classic engine, which was a 2009 re-release of Daytona USA for Sega's PC arcade platform, with the references to Daytona USA removed. And this title formed the basis of the Xbox 360 and PS3 versions of Daytona USA. This means that the physics of Daytona 3 should be very similar to the arcade original, and while I'm not a hardcore Daytona USA player and therefore won't notice subtle differences in steering, I have to say that Daytona USA and Daytona 3 have very similar physics. The steering wheel is handled differently, with the original game having a large dead zone, but that could just come down to emulation. Surprisingly, Sega Racing Classic felt totally different. The car seemed way harder to steer and the force feedback was way tighter. The graphics in Daytona 3 have of course been improved over Daytona USA, with both the UI and cars looking rather glossy, and the tracks have a lot of detail while pertaining the layout and identity of the original game. We also get a completely new track with new music from the legend himself, Takenobu Mitsuyoshi. The new track incidentally is the Daytona USA Raceway. Yeah, seriously, it took that long for the Daytona track to be in Daytona USA. We do have some other new tracks, but they are heavily based on the original game. And likewise, all music in this game is based on the Dreamcast release of the game. You might know the story anyway, but if not, Sega had published the update file for this game on their servers completely unprotected. The game has received a few updates, including a new season update with new liveries, improved physics when hitting barriers, and slight lighting changes to make the game clearer to see. But yeah, someone stumbled upon one of the game updates, and shortly afterwards, the game was spread around everywhere. Since modern arcades run Windows PCs, and to a lesser extent Linux, but in this case Windows, it didn't take long for the community to get the game booting on their own machines. With a dongle key emulator, the game would run. Then, a few days later, someone had created a wrapper to translate the proprietary steering wheel controls to X input, allowing the use of an Xbox 360 controller. Sega was quick to protect the game files, but the damage was done. This is how I played the game back in the day, before I even heard of Technoparrot. Actually, I'm not even sure if it existed back then. The game also supports webcams, so you can see yourself and your opponents while racing. It's not the first time an arcade machine has done this, but it's a cool feature for sure. The cabinet also uses a Raspberry Pi 3 Model B for the top screen.
Well, that's all for now. Thank you for watching this video.